look the part, but let's see some of your moves.
Feeling free and it feels so right. Oh, time to do the things I like. Gonna see a princess, everything's alright. Oh, no job but an answer to. Ain't a fixture in the palace zoo. No, and since the carpet nights off me, I'm living life now that I'm free. Yeah, time to get myself together. Now I got myself together. Now I made it through the weather. Better days are gonna get better. I'm so happy. The current night is gone. I'm moving on. I'm so happy that it's over now. The pain is gone. I'm putting on my shades to cover up my eyes. I'm jumping in my ride.
I think it's just the quality of the YouTube thing.
I don't know, but I'm saying it, I don't know if it distorts it just for in this browser of mine.
I joined the Empire about 6 years ago.
Yeah, mine doesn't have any
Okay.
Q.
Images and being excited about the new direction that the galaxy was taking. So when I was old enough, I went down to the local recruit.
That's an Empire Strikes Back helmet, just FYI.
Yeah.
Most people would call this the ass end of space, but I like the small town feeling you get around here.
Oh yeah, we probably should have told people they're swearing.
Everybody. And I feel I can really make a difference here. We got a routine stop here. We have a report of some stolen droids, and we think these might be it.
Now, some of the sand troopers,
Excuse me. You want to come over?
some of the guys who do sand troopers now, they'll have that chatter running out of their backpack, like just when you're walking around, when you were trooping with them.
Notice the robot they're carrying
I know.
for Mystery Science Theater
Yep.
2000.
Droid, is this? It's your cousin's. Is this your cousin? Is this your cousin? Are you his cousin? No? Okay, then who are you? You're his friend. Well, Mr. Friend, would you step over there for a moment, please? Okay, so the droid belongs to your cousin. Now, if I go over to that sand crawler over there and ask to see your cousin, is he going to have a bill of sale for this? Okay, well, what I'm going to do now, sir, is place you under imperial arrest so we can only help. Hey, am I talking to you? Am I talking to you? Then stay over there and shut your mouth. Now, if you move again, I'm going to shoot you. No. Yeah, I understand. I got a wife and kids too, but you don't see me out here stealing imperial droids now, do you? Yeah, sure, you'll never do it again. He's making a run for it! Hey, there goes the other one! I got it.
Yeah, those E11s aren't that accurate the first shot.
Camera off. Yeah, shut it off. Shut it off. Well, what we had here was that these Jawas had stolen some Imperial property, and it unfortunately turned violent. These Jawas do this kind of stuff all the time, picking up, stray droids and selling them off to the highest paying customers.
Wasn't that an X-Wing sound?
It might have been.
We didn't find the droids we were looking for, but we did find one that a kid had reported stolen. So he and his parents are going to come down to the detention.
Oh, that's a Steve Urkel stormtrooper there.
Yeah, I just realized that their
What it's all about.
arm pauldrons are wrong too. I mean, their arm ammo packs are wrong. I'm becoming one of those guys.
Give yourself more credit. You are that guy.
Supposedly one of them is intoxicated and one of them is injured. We're familiar with this stuff.
There's the heels.
It's not
Yep.
the first time we've been out here, so we're going to see if we can straighten this whole thing out.
Yeah, so I think it's just the one that's in heels.
Well, what's the problem?
I've had it with him.
I like that they blur her face out. You know.
Hasn't come back.
That's ridiculous. Hey, I'm talking to your wife, all right?
And Luke's probably dead now because of you.
Now, Baru, just calm down. Calm down, okay? And you want to be arrested? Well, if you keep this up, that's just what I'm going to have to do. You don't want that, do you?
No.
Okay, then. Are you going to calm down? Okay, good. Why don't you start over?
Well, yesterday Luke comes in and says, I think these droids,
Now, Luke's your boy.
my nephew.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, he says, I think these droids we bought might be stolen.
Uh-huh.
And then he says, well, I don't care. Your only concern is to get them working. And Luke is like, I want to go to the academy. And he says, well, I need you for the harvest this year. And then he starts talking about Obi-Wan and his father.
I did not.
Yes, you did.
Oh.
Yes, you did. You're just lying. You're always lying to him. You never tell him the truth about him or his sister.
Bruce, shut up.
No, I'm tired of shutting up. You shut up.
Well, you can both shut up or spend a night in the detention area, all right? All right? Now, look, what do you want to do now, Baru? Baru, what do you want to do now?
I don't know.
Okay, now see, that's wrong. What do you mean you don't know? You obviously have a problem, otherwise we wouldn't be
I
in this.
don't have a problem.
Baru, come here. Now look, you see his ear, how it's cut like that? It didn't get that way by itself, did it? And you did that, didn't you? Yes, you did. Now, see, that tells me you have a problem. And when we get called in, then it becomes our problem. And
Yeah, but he was the one who started
now,
it.
wait a second, Baru. I'm talking. I listen to you, now you listen to me. That's how this works, okay? Now, are you going to listen to me? Sure you are. Now, how many times, Baru? Why, huh?
Yeah, sure you are.
I think that daily.
I tell you last time.
I don't know.
You don't know or you don't remember?
I don't know.
Baru, what do you want to do?
I want you to arrest him.
I can't arrest him. He hasn't done anything. If there's anybody I should be arresting, it should be you for assault. Baru, you have two choices here. And yelling and arresting him or not to. Now you can stay here or we can take you to an Imperial shelter. What do you want to do? Baru, what do you want to do? Do you want us to take you somewhere tonight? Huh? Do you?
Yes.
Okay. Now do we need to get anything? Some clothes or something?
Yes. You'll
Don't trust her.
You.
Yeah.
Don't trust her.
It's just working. But see, the wife is under the delusion that their nephew ran away. Right? She's blaming the husband for it. He's saying that the kid left.
You can see the hair coming out from under the helmet.
Yeah.
Last week, we're just going to separate for the night because if we have to come out here again,
I'm looking at those buckets and they look like they're, it looks like they're two-piece buckets.
right there with you.
Like the back and everything and the earpieces on a couple of them look attached.
Pretty good without CRLs.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, I know.
I can't. The black teeth are scaring me.
I'm glad it bothers someone else too.
I'm just like, they should be. They're give me some nice gray New Hope.
You should really have someone look at that ear. I'll be fine. Okay. Should have seen this coming. Thermal detonator. Get back. Well, as you can see, things got a bit nasty here. It's unfortunate, but it was almost expected with these people. But, you know, I mean, the farmers out here are having a bad season. Temperatures are high, and it's just bad for everyone. The important thing now is that we find their nephew, Duke, and make sure he's okay. Hey, did she say they just bought some stolen droids or something? Yep. Damn shame. HK-888, check out possible disturbance, most likely Cantina. HK-888, roger that, control.
And it's before they had TKs for stormtroopers too.
Yeah, so some of the people who were in this have done voices for other cartoons.
Yeah. It's just funny. It's funny how how they let me see if I'm learning these.
Actually, go back to that real quick. See if we can find the.
Go back a little.
Hang on.
Yeah, they're like right at the beginning of the credits. Because I caught them. They both start with a K.
Effects, Jawas.
Right
There you are. Kenner
Stormtrooper.
and I don't know if those are their real names and they mixed it up or whatever, but I can't imagine that they would have
That's a yeah.
changed it to protect the innocent.
Yeah. Well, I tell you, at this time, though, so I started looking for armor in 93, 94, or whatever. And there were guys making armor. You could buy armor. And you would find a website, it'd be shut down the next day. And they had all this code. They had all this code for, like, you'd have to call it white armor or space trooper armor. They had all different names for it.
Well, they still use certain phrases now. I mean, if you want to buy a glow stick at some of these conventions because they don't want to say that they're selling lightsabers.
Yeah. But I mean, I think like the costuming part, there's so many places now that make armor that's kind of gone by. I now I see like some of the prop houses they'll call it like the bounty hunter for the Boba Fett helmet. They'll keep but they're making a like, unless you just crawl out of a rock, out from under a rock, that's Boba Fett on that. So I don't know. I thought that was like that one. That one was one of those ones where it had so much in it. Like it had the Mystery Science Theater droid. It had Jawas in it. All that.
For me, I thought what was funny about it is it not deliberately. Well, it was definitely deliberate, but I don't think they made a big deal out of it, connecting it to A New Hope.
Oh yeah.
They didn't call attention to it.
And see, I always, because they had Boba Fett in the previews, but I think they cut him out of the film somehow. But I always took it. I then connected it to Empire, that Vader thought that Boba Fett disintegrated him when he said no disintegrations. So, because to me that's canon. That's what happened. That's how they died.
It's the beauty of headcanon.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't really. I mean, I guess if you went into the comic books a little bit, it doesn't really contradict anything.
I'm pretty sure there is some story where that actually does happen, because I've definitely heard that before.
So it's funny. I wonder if we'll see any like homage to troops someday in any of the live action movies.
Well, it could be in Kenobi for all we know.
Yeah. Like even if they just make like Aunt Veru a little bit of a lush or something. She starts talking about Luke's father when she gets drunk. So, but then that leads us to the stuff that we're doing with our fan film. Because I see that film and I think of how much fun we had, what we were doing, and how and we were just extras. We were just like dressing. Really.
Yeah, we were cannon fodder, just stand in the background and look pretty.
Look Star Warsy. Because I didn't get to see any of Chewie's or Han scenes. You did, Ken.
Yeah, I got to see most of the scenes, and I would color myself green with envy because I was all behind the camera. You guys got to be in front of the camera.
So, like when you watch these, does it seem so? We all seen most of these. I mean, you didn't see John didn't see Hardware Wars before, but we've seen them before. We were on a set of a fan film. Does it make them seem different now that we've been part of something?
Yeah, and for me, what it does is I now have a deeper appreciation for the efforts that go into creating these things. So whether it's somebody sat down and wrote the script, or somebody worked on the special defects or special effects, however you want to describe it, afterwards, or figuring out how are we going to get these sounds in there that we want to get in there.
Yeah. Well, what's nice with Lucasfilm now, they let people use their soundboards for fan films.
Which I definitely think that's a step that I would have never expected them to take, just by looking at how controlling they were over the IP for so long.
Yeah.
And now realizing that, the fans going out and doing things with our property is good for business. So
Yeah, well,
I think that's a good step for Lucasfilm.
Yeah, and I think I think they found, like, I don't think Troops or any of these fan films are going to take money away from anything Lucasfilm does. And I think sometimes it's the same with podcasters. It's the same with any social media. Every podcaster thinks the other podcast is their competition, but it really isn't. Your competition is like something other than podcasts. Because when you get a community, we kind of, especially Star Wars fans, we just devour all Star Wars stuff that we can. And then Lucasfilm has always wanted to just promote people making films too.
Well, I mean, look at how many people who were involved with The Mandalorian or the Book of Boba Fett who were fans themselves first.
Yep.
Whether you're talking about Robert Rodriguez or Jon Favreau or Dave Filoni. Heck, Bryce Dallas Howard fell asleep in her father's lap while he was having dinner with George Lucas and Akira Kurosawa.
Yeah.
So many of the Star Wars makers today were fans first. I mean, your daughter's a wonderful example of this. Grew up with it, enjoyed it, so much so that she says, I think I want to do something with that or like that.
Yeah, I was trying to get her on, but she's actually upstairs podcasting with Sal. So, no, yeah, I agree. I mean, I just know. I think I never realized that, like, the fan film and even independent film. I never realized that's a whole nother genre. Like I always thought of a fan film until just recently. I mean, when I say recently, probably last 10 years. I never realized not every film was made to be a blockbuster, tons of money making film. Some people just made it just because, and they didn't really care what they did with it. I never really, I think I knew it, but I didn't understand it. And I think Star Wars fan films are a perfect example, because the only thing Lucasfilm has cracked down on fan films is crowdfunding. Which
Because
I think is reasonable.
I think their thing is about the making of the money off their property.
Yeah. Well, and I also think it's reasonable to not crowdfunding, especially for certain films. You could easily make a lot of money and rip people off and leave the IP with the stigma. If you're going to make a Luke Skywalker film and you have Luke Skywalker's face plastered everywhere on all your money making endeavors, and then it falls through. When it all boils down to it, the news is going to report Luke Skywalker helps thieves steal X amount of money from, you know what I mean? Or that's just how it works. So, and like Matt's films, we should probably do an episode just on all of Matt's films, all of the Solo Chronicles, because his films are evolved from because you see his first ones and his kids are like really little, so.
And for me, that going back to Matt's film, for me, I felt like I was when I drove home, I was floating.
Yeah.
Because it was such a fun-filled, exciting day. Because from the time I was a kid till then, I had made fan films in my head, playing with my action figures in the front yard, or drawing in my notebooks in school, or talking about it, Star Wars with kids on the bus or whatever. There was always these stories that were beyond the movies, beyond the comic books. So we thought and played in fan films. Nobody was recording it, but then to be able to be surrounded by a group of people who are working hard to create this thing that they wanted to share with others, it was amazing. It was absolutely amazing. Even though I was joking before that I'm not in front of the camera, I was.
And you were the best clapper boy I've ever seen. You were right on that.
Yeah, I think that's what he's going to put me in the credits, clapper boy. Which is so much better than boy with clap.
Yeah,
So.
yeah, that's true. No, well, it's weird what you said, because I feel like the way they sold the Star Wars toys in the 70s, they sold them almost to make you a filmmaker.
Yeah.
Because they didn't say, here's the Millennium Falcon, recreate the scene that you saw in the movie. They had a new adventure.
Yes. So what would be fun? And I'm not saying we have to do it the next time we get together, but at some point when we get together, we should watch a handful of those old 1970s and 1980s toy commercials.
Oh, yeah.
Because they encourage that very same thing.
Well, I've always said, and I think someone's working on it, like my favorite coffee table book would be a book of just all the artwork from those old toy boxes, like the Millennium Falcon. I liked the way they shot those pictures, everything.
Well, there was a book.
We'd have to have your crew on, Ken, when we watch those commercials.
Yeah, that would be fun. Actually, one of the guys from Kenner, I think he made a book called The Man Who Shot Luke Skywalker.
Oh, okay.
And he was the photographer of a lot of those card backs.
Yeah, well, because I just like that. Look, I'm here. I'm learning something new. Hang on. Look, I'm gonna there. See, arc for there. I learned something new. I can put this on the screen. He said he definitely watched that. I feel like I'm becoming a producer now.
Well, what would be kind of fun? So I mentioned, watching some of those old commercials. Watch some of those old commercials, and watch some of the new ones. There was one that just recently came out about that 20-inch play set for Jabba's throne room. And when you watch that commercial versus the old ones, it's amazing the difference. The difference is, I mean, in this new one, there's not a single kid. You just see hands of an adult playing with the thing. Whereas with the other ones, you saw the little kids, going around their front yard going wampa wampa wampa. So they were showing the kids playing with the toys, where now it's, oh, look at this intricate little piece that you get for $352.
Yeah, well, yeah. Yeah, well, because I think between the commercials and the old catalogs, the Christmas catalogs, the way those pages were set up too. Do you remember that what we had? Sears, Pennies, service merchandise.
What was the there was another one too. There was JCPenney, Sears, Toys R Us had a catalog.
Yeah, we never got a Toys R Us. We had Kitty City around here when I was a kid.
Okay.
But we got the JCPenney's and Sears, because I think that was the ones that they had, like the biggest selection of Star Wars toys around here. Like Penny's had a whole entire row of just, but yeah, Arc 77 says he has a whole bunch. I had an E-Web Blaster. I don't know what happened to that. I think we need to build a life-size one, because I want to see John pick it up when he's in his Mando costume.
Oh, don't even tempt me.
We should build the one that's on a platform that spins, so underneath it has roller skates or something mounted to it, so it can spin around.
Yeah. And then we just film it backwards. We hook the rope to it, and then you disconnect it so it looks like you shoot the rope to it, and you're there.
Yeah, well, all you have to do is throw it on a platform with some ball bearings, and then have a mirror underneath the base, and then you don't even have to do any editing.
I still like the pickup one though. I still like you just swing it around, and then we just have to get Zach to just move him and fall down. It just be Zach. He's the only one that can fall down. I mean, I can fall down, I just can't get back up.
I'm impressed that he was able to get back up on his own.
Yeah. Well, and
he did it 4 or 5 times that day. Just the stormtrooper that just couldn't stay on his feet.
He couldn't wait to die. He was the stormtrooper that wanted to die. But yeah, no, Ken. I mean that like that was like such a fun day, and even though I was cold and tired, it was a fun day. So I'm hoping we get more guys on the 13th when we film it. Whatever, I don't know what shots we have to film.
I think now we've done it. And people see that, oh, there was actually a turnout. I think we're going to have more people show up.
Yeah. Well, it is. I mean, it is the downside to having. That's probably the downside to the fan film industry in the sense that you kind of have to trust people will show up just to show up. And when you're wearing armor, as much as I love wearing my armor, there are days you wake up and you're like, oh man, I just really don't feel like putting this on today, because you had a bad week or something like that.
So if the two of you were to pitch an idea for a fan film, what do you think it would be about?
I have mine already.
Oh, really?
I have one that I have two, but the one I want, because it goes along with my love for troops. I want an office inside the Death Star to be like The Office, the television show. They're all Imperials.
That would be kind of fun.
Like there's stormtroopers coming in and out, like the guys down the warehouse are the stormtroopers, and the salesmen are different. Like they could be like maybe a biker scout and stuff like that. That's my pitch. Set up my garage.
You could fit in some other fun stuff to that. You could fit in a mouse droid somehow, some sort of wacky bit with a mouse droid.
You could have some protocol droids rolling through, some bounty hunters coming in. Like what was the really obnoxious salesman that came once in a while? Make him like a Bosk.
Or Dengar.
Yeah,
Dengar would be perfect.
Or make Dengar the guy who's looking to talk to HR because he had some sort of workplace accident, and that's why he's got all the bandages around him.
He harasses the receptionist. I don't know. That's the comedy one. We have a Tusken one that we want to do, but that's all dependent on these Tuskens we get built this summer.
Yeah, I think mine would be I'd love to do like a really darker like bounty hunter film, like kind of like a Mission Impossible-esque where it's real heisty, where you're trying to track down the bounty. And then you can get all different kinds of custom bounty hunters. You can throw in Mandalorians, different races, different all different kinds of things you could throw in there, and just I feel like you could make it rather exciting. I don't have the capacity to sit down and write it.
Ark says for our fan film we can have a Tusken at the reception desk.
Yeah.
I think for the bounty hunter idea, you definitely have to throw a cantina in there somehow.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, Zoe has a Mandalorian screenplay written, but I think the bad thing about going to college for film, you never have time to make films. All right, well, what's yours, Ken?
Well, mine isn't so much a fan film as much. So you guys have all heard of Chad Vader, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Of course.
So it would be like that, except different Star Wars characters just out in the real world, just randomly. So the biker scout who goes into the shop trying to get his tire fixed on his 10 speed, or things like that. So you've got the one Star Wars character with a sea of regular people just sticking
Yeah.
out like a sore thumb. So little episodes like that. So going back to the Tusken, you've got the Tusken who's at the produce market, looking for the black melons or something like that, and confused about all this stuff. And maybe it's a couple Tuskens around, and they're showing the melons to each other, and grunting and that kind of thing. So it's random Star Wars characters in the real world.
That would be cool. Yeah, there's so many possibilities. It's just I think that's the one thing I wish in the costuming groups that we would have a more access to that. Like, I know we do charity and stuff, but I almost feel like that kind of recharges you for just something fun to do. Probably next to an armor party, that would be just getting some film, getting people, because the Mando mercs are so cool because you have such a variety of costumes.
And see, that it's funny that you mentioned getting the costumers together. One of the things to your point with that, we don't deliberately do that sort of stuff.
Right.
So we're either at an event or we're making costumes, and that's it. We're not getting together deliberately to do these other kind of fun things. And I think we miss opportunities for connection. We miss opportunities for creativity. And this is going to sound silly. We miss opportunities just for fun.
Right. Well, I know that's true. And if you look at, so I'm one of the rare people in the sense that I've been in the costuming group since 2007. A lot of people burn out pretty quick because they go gung ho, and again, you get tired. And that I was tired that day. We were in armor all day, but it was fun. We got to hang out. We just got to You don't get to just hang out in armor because either you're trooping it or doing something, or you're building it, like you said.
Yep.
And sometimes building it, I like build days and stuff. But if you're not careful, sometimes those days are the loneliest because you have 15 people just concentrating on what they're doing, and then you forget to just like chill a little bit.
Yep.
So.
And for me, when it comes to building, like, I have to focus on what I'm doing or I'll do it wrong.
Yeah.
So I'm not successful at building and carrying on a conversation at the same time, unless it's, can you help me with this, or let me help you with that. But I mean, to your point about being lonely, I might be, with 10 other people building their stuff, but I'm so focused on putting these pieces together that I miss the fact that these other folks are around.
Well, and that's what made me think of having the Tusken Day, because if we're all building the same thing, just doing, I don't want to say mindless, but if you're making 10 robes, the first one's going to be a little difficult, but once you figure it out, and then you can kind of hang out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm the same way. And I hyper focus on whatever I'm doing, and I've had like family members come out to the judges. I'm meticulously trying to paint in a very specific location, and they're trying to ask me questions, and I like they'll get through 10 sentences before I'm like, huh?
I heard none of those things except the last word.
Yeah, you're on fire. No, the other thing is if I was that same way, especially when I trooped the first couple of years. Probably people thought I was a bastard, but I was so hyper focused on my stuff and the girls' stuff that I didn't enjoy it until we were all suited up and I was ready to go. Because Ken will attest to this, and you will too, John. Once you do it a lot, the last thing you want to do is lose one piece. That's worse than losing that's like losing all your armor on certain things. Because if I lost like the top of their Jawa robe, what am I going to do?
Or to be at an event and have something break.
Oh yeah.
My the rocket on my gauntlet at the last event that we did, we were all marching from one part of the event to another, and I had my hand out because the person in front of me wanted to stay in line and not get lost or whatever. But I had my hand out so I wouldn't bump into him, and he turned quick, and his backpack got hooked on my rocket, and it's just 3D printed and snapped 3 inches off the end of the rocket, just right off.
Well, I destroyed many thermal detonators, and I lost my forearm, fell apart from giving kids high fives at the July 4th parade. The E6000 just came apart. That's when I went to. I went to all CA glue after that. I was like, you know what?
Yeah, I will never turn back to E6000 after I just started using CA glue.
Mm-hmm.
It bonds so quick and it's so tight.
Now, do you have a kicker? Do you use a kicker?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Because man, when you, I mean, there's some of my skin in my costume because I've pulled the tips of my fingers off, but yeah, that's and you can fix stuff. Like I just finished fixing a Bo-Katan helmet that I had to reprint the peak, and I used tons of CA glue and kicker, and it fixed it right up.
Yeah, I saw you. That was a really good cleanup job on that.
Yeah, well, I used water weld to fill in the crack. JB water weld, and then I painted it with liquid resin and hit it with UV light. The problem is that helmet it's too small for a human being, for an adult to wear, because it's printed a regular size, but because of those indent cheeks, because even my daughters can't wear it, so I'll probably just paint it up and display it. I'm going to measure her Sabine and probably have to make the file up about 115% or something like that. Wow.
You might have to print some shelves because it looks like you're running out of space behind you.
Oh, yeah. Well, so this room's going to get some work, even though it is finished. When I get the solo side done, then I'm going to come back here and redo this room, because since we're doing this, which I'm having tons of fun doing, this was initially built for a podcast before COVID. I don't need 90% of the stuff that's on my table, so I'm going to reconfigure this so it's a little more comfortable, and probably put a table in the center, make it a little different. And I have cameras I can put on arms and stuff. We'll see. But
you should definitely create a permanent spot for your stolen poster.
Yeah, my stolen poster. No, listen. The security guard told me I could have it. I did ask, and I was walking through. I walked through the entire lobby, through the entire floor of Celebration, down across the street and in the lobby and everything, carrying that giant sign under my arm, and no one said anything. So.
Act like you belong.
Security guard. I'm sure the security guard was truly the authority on the ownership of that poster.
Well, I saw people. There were some really cool Leia ones, and they were exit signs. They were like exit this way, and it had Princess Leia on. People were taking those, like. And I saw these people walking with signs, so I went back to my hotel room, and then I looked at Missy, and I had a weird look on her face. She said, what? I said, I'll be right back. So I walked all the way back over, and it looked like it was like almost like ransacked all the rooms when that sign was still standing there. And there's a security guard just standing there with his badge. I said, can I have this? He's like, sure. So I was like, all right. Because they're not throwing a dumpster. What are you gonna do with that thing?
Yeah, we flew back from that celebration, so there was no way we were going to be able to. Because it's funny that you actually, rescued it.
Yes.
Because there were several times when I was walking with her, I'm like, I want that. She's like, no, you don't. I said, I do. I said, well, you're not getting it. Because how are you going to get it on the plane? How are you going to get it sent to home?
Well, and I was glad we could drive, because like going out to Anaheim this year, which I know we talked last time, but going out to Anaheim this year, I am sad that I can't really take a costume.
Well, it might force you to be a little bit more creative. So do like a Disney bound costume.
Yeah, my thing is I'm like I got the time off work. The principal was nice and give me the time off work, even though it butts up against a holiday. But that means like I didn't want to stretch my luck, so I'm leaving like that, and then I'm going to get back like it's going to be such a tight window. So we'll see. We'll see what actually happens.
Yeah, I'd be lying if I said I wasn't contemplating driving to Anaheim, but I know I just financially cannot afford to do so.
Yeah. Yeah, the plane tickets are still a little rough. That's still going to be the hit.
Yeah, I had a coworker who just paid $1,200 for 2 tickets from Northeast Ohio to Myrtle Beach. It is a 2-hour flight, and he paid $1,200.
Man, he could have drove and stayed in a super nice hotel.
I claim he's like, I'm 66 years old. I'm done driving. It's like, that's fair.
When we drove out to California, we were going to fly out, and then I just started pricing it out. I was like, you know what? We could drive out because we would have to get airfare for 4 people. We drove out all the money we spent and came back, and it was still cheaper than just the airfare would have been. Now, this was, pre-COVID and stuff like that. But I think Zoe, like I said last week, Zoe will probably go out a day or 2 early to Anaheim because the tickets will be cheaper. And she'll just stay with the paralysis, and then she'll go home a day late. She got a place to stay. So,
Well, do they have room for 3 more?
yeah, I know. I don't know if they have. She'll just probably be staying in Lizzie's room because Lizzie, she doesn't get a break. Like they go back to back in the college she's in. Zoe's done. She's done May 4th. Their semester's over May 4th, and then she's all done classes. She just has to take her semester in LA, and she's done. She'll be.
I'll sleep in a tent in the driveway. That's fine. I mean, I'm not fancy.
But that's why I was like, LA, man. I'll just sleep on a bench outside. I mean, it can't be like Pennsylvania weather.
Yeah, if I'm 2 trees, I'll string my hammock.
Yeah.
See, we're creative. Heck, I'll even make pancakes in the morning or waffles.
That's how you get con crud though. Because even last time I was at Steel City, I stayed up with I forget who I was up with. I don't know if you might have even went. No, I don't know if you were there, John. You were there, I think. But I stayed up with some guys till like 3 a.m, and I don't know what I was thinking. Because that next day I was dragging.
I fell asleep in a panel at Celebration. So the first day of Celebration, the day before the first day of Celebration in Anaheim, we went to Disneyland.
Mm-hmm.
And then went back to the hotel. Heather and the boys went to sleep. I walked back to the convention center, stayed in the convention center overnight so I could get into the panel in the morning, the opening panel.
Mm-hmm.
Sat through that, met up with Heather and the boys, and we went to a panel about costumes. And I apologize for the people who facilitated this panel. They were not enthusiastic or exciting at all. And I sat there and I fell asleep. And Heather poked me saying, we should go because you waited in line to get in here and you're sleeping. So let's go do something. Let's get you moving.
Well, one of my favorite panels at Celebration, I think it was in Florida. It was trivia night. It was like some young kids doing trivia, and it was almost all kids. But we sat in and watched it. Me and Safi were just like wandering around, The setup for Orlando was, I didn't like it because they had all the big props by the stage. You remember that, Ken? Did you go to Orlando?
Yep.
So you couldn't get a picture with the TIE fighter because it was right next to the stage.
The StarWars.com stage?
Yeah, and so that was my only gripe. But and then it was like we were looking for loft cats. That's what I remember when we were at Orlando. Liz and Safi were looking for loft cats, and all the vendors were crammed right around that stage. So it was you were fighting to actually go and spend money. So I thought the Chicago setup was nice.
Yeah, sadly, I know I'm going to sound spoiled when I say this. We only got to spend 1 day there, so we didn't get to enjoy it as much as we usually do because we were running from here to there.
Yeah.
The 2 coolest parts for us for Chicago was we got a picture with Paul Bettany, and we got a picture with Ahmed Best.
Oh, nice.
That was really, really fun.
that had to Chicago had to make Ahmed Best feel good
I hope so,
because
considering the flack that he received for all those
Yeah.
years.
and then he got the show. He did get the Jedi Challenge show,
Yep.
which I thought was pretty good.
I wonder if they're going to do that more, do that again.
I don't know. See, I think Disney has to decide. Like, I think a lot of that content that they throw up on the Disney channel or on the YouTube channel,
Uh-huh.
it just gets lost because I think your demographic that I think they need. Like, I think the Star Wars show, that show, all that stuff should have been on Disney Plus, and maybe they need to make like a free tier of Disney Plus. Like, you can see things without being a member. It just because that's what things are going to.
I think that some of the pieces for the Jedi Temple Challenge would be great at Galaxy's Edge or to do something like that at a convention, whether it's the balance on these beams and, you got to knock off these milk jugs with your lightsaber and then come back or,
Yep.
Actually, I'm wearing a bracelet still on my, I don't know if you can see it very well. It's Forces of Change.
Mhm.
Derek got this bracelet at Star Wars Celebration Anaheim in 2015, and I haven't taken it off since he gave it to me, other than like during my surgery and things like that. But I've worn it since 2015.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, that would be cool. I know it's weird because since I've been into 501st long enough, there was even an edict years ago that the costuming groups were not allowed to lightsaber fight with non-members. So, like, if you were a Darth Vader, you weren't allowed to lightsaber fight if a kid came up with a lightsaber.
Really?
Yeah, there was a couple edicts in the years past that they would do because it came from someone made a lightsaber out of glass or something and wound up breaking one. Someone made like a glass tube lightsaber, and then they challenged Vader, and when Vader swung his lightsaber, it cracked it or something.
Oh, geez.
But yeah, because I remember you don't have Blaster Trooper. We have Blaster Trooper where stormtroopers get shot with Nerf darts and stuff. When that started, it was called Shooter Trooper, and then they had to change the name. Lucasfilm said, "Yeah, you should probably not call it Blaster. I mean Shooter Trooper." So, because I remember we used to have shirts that said Shooter Trooper. But
we did that one year, and Derek got so excited because I think 2 or 3 of the Nerf darts were those ones with the suction cups on the end, and it stuck to the armor. He was tickled when that happened.
I used to do that a lot, and then we used to do it at Steel City, and the problem was you wouldn't get enough volunteers, and so like I got stuck in there one time for like 2 hours, just getting shot at, and I was like, you know what, I'm done for a while. A kid knocked the lens out of my mask. It's like I'm done.
With a Nerf dart?
Yeah, Nerf dart.
Wow.
Some of those Nerfs, they were just like, they're only like 10, 15 feet from you. They're not,
Not even that. It seemed like 6.
Yeah.
It was across one of those folding tables away.
Yeah. And it can, one year I had a sinus infection at Steel City, and I was wearing my mask, and my mask sits right here. And it felt like every time they shot me, someone was poking me in my forehead. I was like,
oh yeah, that's the other thing. Kids will aim right for your face, like that.
Oh yeah,
they're not shy.
Yeah, no, it's fun. It's good. Maybe it's the money thing. I still liked it before we did any handling of money, and it kind of goes back to our talk with crowdfunding films. I liked it when we trooped in. We just did charity for the sake of charity, and charity could just be, I think when you have money being handled, that's where people can get a little weird.
Well, I don't remember which state it was where the guy was from. I don't know if it was New York or Pennsylvania or New Jersey, but there was this guy who had a big Star Wars collection, different costumes, and I think he had like a full-size speeder bike and things like this, and he went around to different events claiming to raise money for different charities and then not giving the money to charities.
Oh, jeez.
At least that's the rumor I remember, not too long ago.
I've heard of that, and I've heard of like the 501st got rid of some people for that same thing because they started collecting money, and then it'd be like, okay, we collected X amount of dollars, let's give it to charity. And then people were like, okay, well, look, it started out with, look, let's just buy everyone lunch that was here today, and then it started out with, okay, let's help people with their gas money. And then eventually, and then they just said, no, you can't. Because when I started, all you did was we collected toys. We didn't do anything else. We had a request for a wedding though this week. So
Wow.
we don't do weddings in Korea, but I told the woman, I said, just send me a message, and I said I might be able to get you some people, or you just hire Marty. He takes his R2 to weddings sometimes.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
That's awesome.
when he's a photographer.
Yeah, I'm good for day parties anymore.
Yeah.
As Din?
Except for yeah. I was actually, funny story. I was at work today, and one of our receptionists came up to me and was like, "Hey, I found you on TikTok today." I'm like, "Okay, all right, how's it going? How's this conversation going out?"
Where is this guy?
And so she's like, "Yeah, I saw your Mandalorian suit that you've got. I'll have to keep your number so you can come to my son's birthday party in August." I'm like, "Okay."
Yeah, I did one wedding for a friend. We just showed up and we were like whatever the guys next to the groomsmen are. Yeah, Lucasfilm.
The ushers.
Lucasfilm they had a pretty much for all the costuming groups. You can't do weddings for money. They were like, you can do whatever you want with your costume, but don't. And so some of the groups actually said, no, we don't do weddings at all because of that. But yeah, Lucasfilm, again, for the costuming groups and for the fan films, they're pretty nice with what they let people do. So
yeah, the fact that you can even go out and buy costumes just regularly now. I mean, like,
yeah,
personal experience, like my Walt kit was extremely simple. It was, I messaged him on Facebook, how much is this with shipping? All right, cool. Here's your PayPal invoice. It'll be out there in 8 to 10 weeks.
Well, and that's even Imperial Outfitters, they get called and do a lot of the costumes for the Lucasfilm events. Like they used to do all the stuff for Rebels. Like they would do the Rebel drivers, the with the tank looking helmets and the mask. They did all that, and they would appear. And I think when Lenovo started selling costumes, I think that was almost like proof positive to Lucasfilm that it's probably not worth selling your costuming license to, because the average person, if you bought an Lenovo's kit, you're not going to be able to put that together.
I'd still like to have an Lenovo's kit.
I got two.
I want to
Did
put
you
one
order
together.
one, Mike?
I got one. I ordered one, and then I was at an event and I won one.
What?
I have two. I have two unopened kits. Because
Hey John, you want a Lenovo's kit?
Right.
I know there's one.
I paid I think it were $350 when those TK kits came out. So when they first announced it, right, I saw $350 and I was like, that's probably garbage. So I sent the link to Marty, because Marty will tell you if it's garbage or not if you ask him. And so he's like, I sent it to him, and about a day later he gets back to me. He's like, I'm buying one. I was like, okay, well I'm buying one too, So I ordered it right when it came out, and I got it. And then we were at a charity event, and someone had bought an Lenovo's kit, and decided they didn't want to do it, so they donated it. And it was like you could buy a ticket for $20 or something like that. So I bought a ticket, and then they called my number, and I won my Lenovo's kit.
I'll give you $40 for it.
That one.
Double your money. Come on, man. Don't be greedy.
That's I have a Razor Crest here. I'll double my money for. They're selling those unrelated to that. They're selling the action figures out of the Razor Crest for like $300.
Yeah.
I'm like,
third-party sellers, man. I don't understand them. I mean, I understand them. They're trying to make lots and lots of money off the stuff, but I don't understand why random purchasers are willing to look at that $300 for a figure. It's like, sure.
Yeah. Well, I bought mine to set it up because I bought the sail barge to sell. I was like, I'm gonna buy it, let it sit, and I'll sell it. I'm fine with that because I just don't have the room. But I bought this one to set up, and now that I'm redoing it, I thought I'd have more room. My house is not as big as I thought, or I just have too much crap. I don't have room. I have nowhere to display it. You know,
Aren't you a science teacher?
math too, and I just didn't do the math.
Can't you calculate volume and?
I can, but my I have rosy colored glasses. Like, oh yeah, I can fit that in. Well, when I was measuring, I'm building this. So I scaled the room next door, and I have to make up 16 inches. I'm like 16 inches short. So because I was going to build the bed above the back of the seat. It's just going to have to be like a picture. You know, the little bed above the
jar table.
Yeah. So.
See, kids, this is what happens when you don't show your work.
Right. I should have, you know.
You have to put up like a green screen banner and then fill it in.
Well, because I need one more thing to do. I'm trying to figure out how to make. You know what a Murphy bed is?
Yep.
I'm trying to make a Murphy cockpit of the Millennium Falcon. So in the side that's the Falcon, I'm going to have a blank wall, but I don't really have any room in there to do anything. But I was thinking if I made a Murphy cockpit that would fold down when we want to be sitting in the cockpit for pictures or something. And it'll fold down and it'll bend out and it'll have the frame to the windshield and everything.
Yeah, that sounds like a very high-tech pop-up book.
Yeah. That's what I'm going to try. If I get, which I never will, because I got like 50 million other things I got to finish first. So, but that's like, well, if I'm, 5 years from now, if everything's done, I'll do that. But yeah.
Oh yeah, because I don't see any more Star Wars coming out in 5 years, so there'll be no new costumes, no new variations of Sabine Wren to worry about.
Oh yeah, well, Sabine's going to keep me busy for a while. And my Boba Fett's still not done because ever since they showed Mando on Boba Fett, now I want to go back to working on a Mando costume. That when he appeared on that show, it made me realize how much I really like him. So I don't know.
I've been saying it the whole time.
Yeah, I mean I like Boba Fett too, but I'm just like, oh man. Then I see custom Mandos. I see Toga's custom Mando with the wolf fur and stuff. I'm like, wish I was 7 feet tall. I'd do Toga's.
Yeah, I saw his kit for the first time in the video you posted.
Yeah.
Oh my god! I did not realize how cool his costume looked. It almost makes me not want to finish mine because it's not going to look as good as his.
Well, and then you also got to remember he's almost 7 foot tall because you saw him in his Rebel Pilot. So when you have like a 7 foot tall Mando come after you.
Yeah, and then you've got the 5'9" Mando standing next to me, and it's just, what's even the point?
Well, you should see his house. You remember the guy? Oh man, what was the movie that the guy from The Office played? That nerd, 40-year-old virgin. Remember
Steve Carell?
All those action figures and stuff he had. That's like Toga's house makes your house, John, look empty.
I'm not even surprised. Just by spending one day with him, yeah.
I mean,
he puts any
of us
I'm
not
to shame.
buying anything, and he walked out with like armloads of stuff. He's like, okay, I'm going to buy this. But he knows his toys. Like he'll hit yard sales and come with like a trunk load of toys, like all summer long. Every summer he's pulling stuff out that like people are dying for, and he's getting like good prices on.
We went to a thrift store in, I think it was Easton, Pennsylvania, or somewhere around there, wherever the Frank Frazetta Museum is.
Mm-hmm.
And so we stopped there, and there was a bucket of Legos, and it had like saran wrap on the top to keep all the Legos in. So we bought that. When we got home, inside that bucket of Legos was a 1978 Boba Fett.
Oh man,
That's
nice.
the only it's the only vintage Boba Fett that I own, and it came from a random sack of Legos at a thrift store.
I sold my vintage Boba Fett, and I'm sad I did, because I got mine from the mail. I mailed mine in, and then Safi is a Boba Fett, one of the newer ones. We were at outside of Ocean City, Maryland, at the beach, and one was washed up on the beach, and that's her Boba Fett.
Nice.
So still had the cape on him and everything. So.
Yeah,
Now,
my Boba Fett. Oop, go ahead.
No, I was going to say there's probably some kid telling that story how he lost his Boba Fett.
Right. Yeah, my Boba Fett is obviously because like I don't play with toys as often.
Yeah.
But yeah, mine is in our safe because that was the first Star Wars figure that I got. I was probably I don't even know if I was 4 or 5, but I just remember opening a bunch of Star Wars toys on Christmas morning. My vintage Boba Fett was the first I got.
Nice.
And then I have the re-release from the early 2010s, late 2000s of they remade the rocket firing Boba Fett.
Oh yeah.
You send out so many UPCs and they'll send you the rocket firing Boba Fett. I still have that in the original shipper right next to my vintage Boba Fett in the safe.
Yeah, I remember cutting out the little circles, sending them in. Got my Boba Fett. And I had them for years, and then when the girls were little, they weren't into the old figures. So, I wound up selling all my old stuff on eBay and just giving them the money and buying them new stuff. Because when the Clone Wars was full steam ahead, they were having 3 and 4 new figures a week. You'd go and there'd be new figures, so, and that was fun. I like the new Jawas better than the old Jawas because they had that little lens on their head where the eyes would glow. So. And the Tuskens had a pretty cool, came with a cool bantha. The one Tusken did.
It was actually furry.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you remember when they had the bigger figures that came out in the 90s? Remember they made the furry Chewbacca? Oh, he was terrible. He just and that was right about when you had to pretty much go to every store in the world to get the set. Because you could get like the Han on a Tauntaun at Walmart and Luke on a Tauntaun at Target and Luke on a Tauntaun with a Wampa at like FBO Schwartz or whatever. You know what I mean? Like everyone had it. You had to go around to all these stores to even. And that's when I was like, I can't, because we didn't have half the stores around here.
Yeah, I've got a special place in my heart for those 12-inch figures.
There's a place around here that you can still get them for about $20. Most of them.
Wow.
Called Just Press Play. It's like a GameStop, but they buy collectibles too. So their boxes aren't mint, but you can between $19 and $29 they have most of the regular ones. Like I was just in there, they had like Luke and Obi-Wan for like $25 or something like that.
There's a vintage store not a vintage store. It's one of those ones that has different booths from different vendors and stuff like that. And they have 2 speeder bikes, one with Luke from Endor and one of Leia from Endor. With the 12-inch figures. You
can go up to Jordan's shop and get some. And his price wasn't that bad. His price was like $49.
Wow, okay.
He had Leia and Luke on the speeders. Because some of that stuff's weird. Like it's like that stuff goes in waves. Like I have the Dewback and the Sand Trooper. Mine's open. I don't even know where the box is. But I have the big, Dewback was also one of my favorite. The old toys. I never got a Dewback, but I always thought that was cool because the feet went down in it and it looked like it had, you had leg things on.
Looks like he's really riding it.
Yeah. There were some weird plastic though, because like my friend had to do back in the plastic, the side of its head cracked, and so its one nose hole was really big, and we would stick like blasters in there.
Well,
Yeah,
they
I
didn't
still
have
like
saddlebags.
the
Yeah,
I still like the open belly tauntaun
yeah,
that they
yeah,
had with the rubber slit on the belly.
yeah.
Those are that is probably one of the hardest things I have ever hunted for, to try and find one, because they're so rare anymore.
Yeah. Well, I had the Yoda with the orange snake, and I don't even know what happened to him. He's probably out in the woods somewhere at my old house, because I used to take him out in the woods and play. He was little, man. He was like, but anyway.
Now I made it through the weather. Better days are gonna get better. I'm so